Hello and welcome to Parenting Connection. This is episode 11. We have a special guest today. This is Milo, our kitten. So first of all, I'm Rachel Eastop. I'm a counselling psychotherapist for children, adolescents and adults. This is my son, multi-talented son, Sam.
Hello. And this is my son, Milo.
And Milo is desperate to get down, desperate to play. He's like 10 weeks old. He's cute. Anyway, that's enough of that. And that's Becky. So, yes, welcome. First of all, we thought, obviously, Merry Christmas. We're feeling in the Christmas spirit today. We're going to be broadcasting next Monday as well. So, if you're off or if you're available next week, catch us again. Today, I'd just like to start off by keeping the Christmas spirit going. Sam's band, Trading Glances, have released a of Christmas song. Thanks for that. Yeah. Product placement. My coffee's coming now. Becky's great. So Trading Glances have got a Christmas single out called Shake Up Christmas by Train. It's a cover, obviously. And the important thing is it's in collaboration with Guy Bathgate. Guy is an amazing young man, multi-talented, is an incredible human being. And he is putting together, I'm just going to read the thing, which is over the next 12 days, kicking off today, he is going to release 12 videos over 12 days, the 12 days of Christmas. And at the end of those 12 days, and they're all collaborations, and they are all young musicians, young talent out there. So please have a listen. But crucially, at the end of the 12 days, this will form an album. And the album will be on sale and the proceeds will be going to Meningitis Now. Sam, do you want to say anything about this?
Yeah. It's a very fun process to do. We've done the song before when Guy was part of the band still, like 2 years in a row when we did like a Christmas light switch on ceremony in Kinross, where Guy's from. So we know what we're doing with the song. It's pretty fun. Go listen to it. It's a proper catchy tune. And also listen to all the other days that will follow and just keep engaging with it, like it, share it, donate, all that kind of stuff, buy it. Yeah,
please donate. We're trying to raise money for Meningitis Now, which is an amazing charity, and possibly one of the charities that has not been highlighted during this whole COVID crisis, but still very, very important. There's also a video to go with the song, obviously one of these lockdown type videos, and I think there'll be videos with all the other ones as well, so you can have something to watch, and you can see who all the members of the band are, and so Guy's the other lead singer of the song. So please check it out, it'd be great. Okay, is that all our plugs done?
I think so.
So over the last couple of weeks we have been kind of highlighting a couple of areas. One is kind of university student mental health crisis that might be going on at the moment, well, we know it is. And the second thing is the stigma around accessing or even thinking about going for counselling. Okay. And this has been kind of brought together by something that's been in the news recently, a piece of research that I'm just going to read out here. It's called Loneliness, Depression and Anxiety. It's an English research, so in England during the pandemic. So it was saying that there's an impact on students in English universities, and it'll be the same for Scottish universities as well. And there's a real mental health crisis around loneliness and depression, and people are unable to sleep, and a huge anxiety. There's some interesting statistics that have gone along with this. More than 1 in 5 students said their mental health was much worse during this time, while 63% felt COVID posed an either big or significant risk to their mental health. But it said that in the survey, something like, I can't see it now. Oh yeah, 29%, only 29% looked for help.
Wow.
So, students are saying that they've not been out of their accommodation for weeks. They feel prisoners in their own lives. They are in a bubble of one. That was the kind of the headline that was around it. I'm in a bubble of one. And yet they're not accessing the mental health provision that's put there. So there's something wrong with that. It's either not the right provision for what they want, or they're so low. I mean, it's probably a bit of both, to be honest. When you think about, loneliness and isolation and depression, it doesn't bring about much energy and enthusiasm and motivation. There's also this kind of place you go into when you just, when you feel tremendous hopelessness and helplessness. There's a sense of kind of folding in on yourself. And, I just really feel that perhaps these young people are just, can't be bothered or just have no energy to try and access it. And I don't know whether I should imagine there's Zoom like services and phone calls, all kinds of things that are available. But what they want, and the real big message with this, is my social life is zero. And I think, we've acknowledged, Sam and I, that over that actually part of university life is the social life, is making friends, going out, socializing, extending your personality and character and growing up, basically. And so they're missing out on that. And and because of that, there's not this kind of reaching out. You'd think somebody who's isolated and lonely would be craving any kind of human contact at all. But whatever's being offered is not there. And they said, I didn't want to talk to a stranger. Then everyone's a stranger until you meet them, aren't they? And there's something about this kind of this insular look about, I came to uni to socialize with other young people, and that's kind of what I want to do. And there seems to be a bit of a kind of a foot down of, I'm not going to go to some counsellor when what I want to do is go out with my mates to the pub. So there. And it's kind of a real, that's a reaction and retaliation to this whole thing. What do you think, Sam?
I mean, I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on. I don't really know what else to say about that. The stranger thing is interesting, because that's like, you kind of taught that as like a young one, aren't you? Like, don't talk to strangers, and like, it's totally fair. But then it's like, you're a stranger to someone until you meet them, which is what you just said. That made me like, I was not gonna lie, I was thinking of that. When you just said that, I was like, shit, yeah. Like, you have to like be willing to put yourself out there. You know what I mean? To like, actually no longer make that person a stranger, which is weird. So I guess the not wanting to talk to strangers thing is understandable, but at the same time, it's totally flawed. I guess, like, you can totally make that person no longer a stranger.
I found myself sort of thinking about this and thinking about, how would I feel, if I was like that? Would I become worse, less, disengaged with everything? Would I say, right, I'm just going to make myself get up, go out, do something? Some of these young people were saying they can't even go and walk about in the communal areas. They're not allowed to talk to anybody except the super, if they want, the guy that's in charge. If you lost your key. There's a sense really that people are going to young people, look, don't communicate, don't talk to each other, because we know that you're a bunch of loose cannons and you're just going to go and spread this virus like wildfire. And something's kind of lost in that it's gone from one extreme to the other. They've taken away their sort of basic human right. And they were talking about another thing that you and I talked about, the feelings of love and belonging. Remember, we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The feelings of love and belonging have fallen since the summer, and under 2/3 feeling they have significant contact with others. And that's this thing about love and belonging. This is what I say, it's one of the most important things that human beings need, is who loves me and where do I belong? And actually the loved ones, they're separated from their loved ones, and they don't feel that they belong to a university community. There is no
Where do they belong? Yeah.
They were also saying that Yeah, this is another interesting statistic. It said that Steve West, Vice Chancellor of the University of West England and Chair of University UK's Mental Health in Higher Education Working Group, shout out to you, said there had been a doubling and quadrupling of demand for support from students this year, which kind of goes against the statistic that was just quoted about only 29%. And then I got thinking about it and I thought, well, 29% of whatever could represent thousands of young people still,
Yeah.
even though it's not a lot accessing therapy. Just think about how little people accessed it normally. Maybe only 2% did normally. So now
Yeah.
29% represents a massive doubling and quadrupling. And that he's saying that there isn't additional funds from the government. There's no extra provision. There's also a second year student at Edinburgh University, so a bit of balance here, who did not want to be named, which is a shame, described a sense of overwhelming sadness amongst his friends. Many were taking antidepressants and others were dropping out. I know myself, I've just come from I'm doing a master's, which I know I keep banging on about, sorry about that. And it was meant to be in Dublin, which was great. But since March, it has been online. And this weekend we had our final weekend of this year. It was into the second year now. And all of us are just wretched. We're so fed up with Zoom. We're so fed up with not having, we were quite a close group. We were, had a lot of banter. The Irish are hilarious anyway. And it was great. I loved going over. I loved spending time with them. And we missed out on that because all we have is face on the screen, work from 9:30 to 4:30, nothing in the way of socializing. Yes, we have some breakout groups and things like that, but basically it's all serious stuff. And then it's log off till the next time. And yes, we could find time in between to have social Zoom calls. But as someone else pointed out, we work full time and we've all got lives. It's just another thing you're going to have to find to do. And maybe, I can empathise tremendously with how young people are feeling. How would you feel, do you think, if you were kind of in uni right now?
I was just listening to what you were saying there, you're like, oh, we're fed up of it. We're already fed up of it. And you're only doing uni, once every 2 weeks, once a month, was it?
Once a month.
Once a month. Imagine doing that every single day for your class. I can't. It would probably be too much for me. I know that I was saying that like weeks ago that I think that this is the way forward for schools and stuff, like Zooms and classes and that. And I'm sitting here going, I couldn't imagine doing that. Oh, it'd suck. But I don't know. I think that there's ways around doing it because at the minute, we're doing this because we have to, or people are doing it because they have to. Whereas when I was talking about it, I think it would be by choice, and you could still socialize people outside of it or whatever. But I think it would suck because I don't think you get necessarily as much, especially in uni, you wouldn't get as much time with the tutor because college uni is quite good at having one-on-one time with the person teaching you, which school doesn't really give you unless you stay behind after class and be like, excuse me, which I would do occasionally in English when I needed help. But so it would suck in that circumstance. But at the same time, I think there's benefits to uni students, not having to go into Edinburgh or wherever, not having to travel, just being able to roll out of bed, drink coffee and do Zoom, which is, I'm not going to lie to you, everyone watching, this is what I do with these. So, I roll out of bed, have a shower, put coffee in me and do these. So, it's I think it's doable and it's probably, I'd probably enjoy it personally. I think me as a student in the way that I learn, bless you. But I don't know, I can definitely see why a lot of people are struggling with it because it's just a whole different kettle of fish, really. And like you said, it is quite distancing and it cuts ties and stuff as well. It's weird.
Yes, it would be great if there was a happy medium because the thing is they've not created. It said I'm in a bubble of one. There's so much wrong with that.
Yeah.
Why they can't create bigger bubbles? I don't know why they can't. Do you know what I mean? Why is that? That's just because they're just assuming everyone's gonna be in their bubble and spread the virus between them. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just craziness. Anyway, so The other thing that I was thinking about was, as an extension to this, was the Zoom. What do they call it? Zoom fatigue.
Zoom what? Sorry.
Zoom fatigue. And it's interesting that there are other sources available, like Microsoft Teams and like, I don't know, people use WhatsApp and I mean, I think probably the fatigue element comes from the work related, but Microsoft being as big as it is, Microsoft Teams has not quite got the pizzazz, I suppose, of Zoom. So Zoom's picked up the name over this COVID period. It's kind of Zoom, and Microsoft must be brilliant. But then,
yeah, do you think Zoom has pizzazz?
Zoom has pizzazz, well, the name does, hey. But then I think Teams is you have to pay for, do you not? Whereas Zoom is free. So I suppose that's. But the Zoom or the kind of through the online stuff is the fatigue element is about the learning and working online all the time, and that's something that I can relate to as well.
Yeah,
is that Zoom is very, very intensive, and it's you're focused on one area of their face all the time, and there's a lot lost in body language and translation, but just in terms of staring at a screen all day long. And I think more and more people, that was a measure in place, and some people said, oh yes, more and more people can work from home and do this, that and the other, which is great, and maybe let's do that long term. But now we're going to start to see the physical and psychological effects of that. One of them must be posture. I know that your dad, he's got a chair that is an orthopedic, especially for his back kind of chair that the work provided for him years ago when he first started working from home on a regular basis, not all the time. But he's now sore all the time. He's had to rethink his whole kind of chair that he's got and his posture, because also you end up quite slumped over. I think particularly the way that he uses his laptop, he doesn't have it right raised up. He has it down. I'm pretty sure he slumps down. So I think, it'd be interesting to kind of talk about how, the things we've learned when we've been on Zoom. Like you're looking down, aren't you? You haven't raised your laptop up.
Because I was just, as you said that, I realized that I was like this, my back bent, and as soon as you said that, I went, oh, and my entire back went, and I was like, oh, like, and my entire back cracked, and I was just like, oh yeah, posture, yeah, it's a fair point. But yeah, it's because like my laptop's like further down than me, the seat won't go any lower, but I'd ideally have it like here, because that's like good posture. But I can't, unfortunately, unless I get some sort of like unsturdy box to try and balance it on. But
well, I have this sort of thing that books, you can balance it on books. It doesn't have to go anything. But raising the laptop up so that you've got better posture is a good one. It also means that people are not looking up your nostrils all the time, or you haven't got for women of a certain age, such as myself, there's not the, that horrible Yoda look.
Horrible Yoda look.
Yoda. No, it's not Yoda. No, it's
Boba Fett. No, not Boba Fett. Oh,
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt. Oh, I was like, what?
Star Wars, Jabba the Hutt. Yeah. We digress.
I didn't even think you were made. He's a massive slug.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm just talking about this bit of me is the massive slug. Yeah, I don't want that when I'm looking down. That's not a good look. Anyway, so any more news on trading glasses that you wish to say?
Well, yeah, we're looking at getting some new merchandise.
Merch.
Which is very exciting.
Can I just say the mugs that he has just shown are not good for public release.
Personally,
They are at the moment, obviously, if they become they've got a little bit more money in their pockets. They can't gig at the minute, so they've got no money for merch. they'll have trading glasses mugs, but you're thinking of t-shirts and tops and things like
that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm.
To promote your new single.
Well, yeah, hopefully that'll be coming out soon at some point. So just like, Christmas is coming around and we're all of a sudden very quite busy, which always happens every year, even though we're in a pandemic. It's like, oh, we're busy all of a sudden. So because we just did the thing with Guy, and then we think we're going to do our own like lockdown cover as well, just as a band rather than like in association with Guy and all that.
Tell the boys and girls what you're going to sing.
Oh, we're thinking. Well, I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say anything here and then them shout at me, so I'm not going to say anything.
Okay,
but it's going to be good. It's a good song. A lot of people like it. Yeah, it's a good song. So look for that, I guess, on Facebook and all that kind of stuff as well.
It's very you guys.
That's true.
You can pull it off. It'll be good. So look out for that. The new single "Rewind" may be out before the end of the year. It may not.
Yeah, I know.
These things. I just want to say, right? What have all the famous musicians and artists been doing during lockdown?
Like doing lockdown music and stuff.
Christmas songs.
Yeah, Christmas songs. Well, they've
all been making Christmas songs because they've never got time to do that normally.
21 Pilots did that, but I mean, I don't think of any other artists that.
What's the one? Gwen Stefani. She's got one out. Cool. Yeah.
I heard it.
There's a few of them that have got Christmas songs out. I know.
But again, it's that like they have the money to just go and record one professionally in the studio that they have in their basement, So. Also, they can release songs whenever they want because they don't need a single launch gig, but we preferably do. So it swings and roundabouts.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like Jamie Cullum's new Christmas song, "Hang Your Lights on Me" or something. Some of my lights.
It's probably nothing similar to that, is it? No, yeah.
Something to do with lights. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so what have you got planned for this week?
This week? Oh, man. Well, today me and Becky are going to go get some afternoon tea at Dobby's because there's nothing else to do.
Afternoon tea at Dobby's.
Sounds good, but at noon. We're having afternoon tea at noon.
Huh?
We're having afternoon tea at noon, precisely. So
well, it is afternoon.
Yeah, technically.
Heralds at the afternoon.
I know. And then I've just finished showing her all of Breaking Bad. So I don't know what we're going to do without watching Walter White. Yeah.
Knocking.
Yes. Knocking on doors and being the one who knocks and saying his name and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
You need to watch all that again.
High singer or something.
Heisenberg. High singer.
Heisenberg, that's it.
Heisenberg.
Where did you get that name from, Heisenberg?
I don't actually know, or did I? I mean, it doesn't really explain it in the show, but like I read the trivia on IMDb, and it's something along the lines of like somebody Heisenberg was like the first person to discover this chemical thing, and that's why he named himself that, because he's a chemistry teacher and obviously a chemistry genius, and he cooks meth and stuff. So I think it's something a lot like to do with that, and I can't remember what it was, but yeah, like this somebody Heisenberg did exist in real life and did something really important in the chemistry. So
all right, so there is reason and method there.
Yeah,
nice. Okay, somebody sent you a message. I've no idea how you make it appear. Shall I just read it out?
Yeah.
It says, afternoon tea at Dobie's is when you know you're getting old, pal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it was actually recommended by my 19-year-old girlfriend, so I mean,
There's nothing else to do, is there?
Nothing else to do. If you've got any other suggestions, please.
Is there, going back to Breaking Bad, is there any kind of moral message in Breaking Bad?
Yeah, of course there is.
What
Don't
is
get
it?
a show that has all those, critic and audience high ratings and it doesn't have any depth. The moral message to it is, I guess, learn to swallow your pride. Don't let your ego get the better of you. Learn to say no, these kind of things, because I mean, these are the things that jumped out to me when I was rewatching it, because I've seen it all before and I was rewatching it, and then I'm going to be saying spoilers for Breaking Bad here, and I'm really sorry. So
I
it's
think
been
it's
a
been
few
out
years.
long enough
But
now.
it finished in 2013, so your own fault. Becky hasn't seen anything, so that's what showing her. But like the fact that he decides to go and start cooking meth and just allow himself to become a monster, basically, is because he was part of this company called Grey Matter, which is made up by his name and his partner's name, Elliot Schwartz, which means black, and him, Walter White. So black and white makes grey, so they made Grey Matter. And then his girlfriend at the time was Gretchen, and they were together. And then it doesn't really explain it that much in the show. It kind of briefly mentions it, but like something along the lines of I think like she offers him help or something like that, or it's something to do with like Walt can't do it himself, and it's like pride, and he just storms out of there and basically like breaks up with Gretchen and leaves her, and then basically because of that leaves the company, and he sells a share which at the time was worth $5,000, and in this like late 70s, early 80s, that was like whoa, great amount of money. So he went and paid some month's rent and stuff like that, and then Gretchen and Elliot marry each other, and the company, when we're watching Breaking Bad season 5, is worth $2.1 billion. And they're like really rich and well off and really famous, like billionaires and stuff. And it's the point where in season 1, there's literally like, I was watching a video essay on it because I like to do that kind of stuff because it's fascinating. You can literally watch episodes and not even realize this is like the most important like moment or episode in the series, and this is it. And he goes to Elliot's like 50th birthday party or some sort of birthday party where everyone's just wearing beige, because they're just at a party, but like they're all really well off, but they just wear beige. Whereas the poor couple, Walter and his wife, turn up like dressed super flamboyantly, like she's in like a big blue dress, he's like a suit and a tux and stuff. Everyone else is in like beige jumpers and stuff. And then he's all sitting around like opening up all these presents and stuff, and everyone, and they're like, "Is he 8 years old? Like, why is he doing this?" And then afterwards, Elliot says, "Oh, you should come work for me at the company," even though they've just been having like a nice conversation as pals, even though they haven't been pals for years. And then Walt realizes that he's only been talking to him because he wants to offer him help and pay for his treatment because he's been diagnosed with cancer, lung cancer, and he wants to pay for his treatment because he's a billionaire. And Walt is like, "That's the only reason you're talking to me and offering me a job, isn't it? Not because I'm good enough or because you want me back, because you want to pay for my treatment, because you feel pity or you feel sorry for me." And you see that happen in just his face, and then he leaves, takes out on Skylar, and then has a moment where he realizes that I'm going to do this myself. And that's when he decides to do the whole drug stuff rather than just go and work for a billionaire, which would just solve the problem, or even if he just went, "I don't even want to work for you, but could you just give me the money?" They'd be like, "Yeah, of course, we'll pay for it." Do you know what I mean? Because they also offered to just pay for the treatment as well, but he doesn't take their money, but he tells his wife that he does. So it's that. I think the main thing about it was, I guess, like that's the one thing I noticed was pride and ego and reputation and all that kind of stuff. It was like Walt just couldn't let things slide. He just couldn't do it. And then there's also a bit later on in season 5 where he shoots someone that he's been working with for like a season and a half, and like has been a business partner. They never really got on, but it's just because they had a heated argument, and I think he said something along the lines of like his ego or something, or something like that, and then he left, and then Walt walks away, and then he just turns back and like walks towards him really fast with a gun and shoots him, and it's like he just did that because he insulted him in some way, you know what I mean, rather than he needed to kill him or anything like that. It's just and the show's fascinating and just full of that kind of stuff. But it's in every character as well. Every character is deeply flawed in that show, which is what makes it really good. Like every character is really flawed.
And it's the ultimate midlife crisis in some ways, because his whole kind of Breaking Bad moment was when he kind of realized that I don't know if he's been diagnosed at that point, I can't remember now.
He gets diagnosed in the first episode.
My life. Spines out in the first episode. Yeah. What have I done with my life? I've kind of I'm a teacher. I'm like a chemistry teacher. No disrespect to chemistry teachers whatsoever. But I'm a chemistry teacher, and there's people who cannot know nothing about chemistry who are actually making a product, an inferior product, and making a fortune.
Yeah, like millions of it.
He's not really thinking about the consequences of his actions as far as drugs and addiction and that kind of world goes. It's more about his moment to shine, if you like.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. And like that again. There's one episode, and it's called. I'm pretty sure it's Grey Matter, or maybe it's not. I can't remember. But there's an intervention scene. They sit Walt down when he's not. He's basically refusing the treatment. And this is what the video essay said. It was like he was refusing the treatment, and like Skylar, his wife, sat down like his rest of his family, like his sister, brother-in-law, and his son, and we're like, you need to sit down and tell him to take treatment because he's just being stupid, right? And then the in-law says like does this really long-winded, stupid thing. He's really uncomfortable, but the bottom of the fifth and makes it all baseball related or whatever. And then Skylar's like, you need to do this, you need to do this, and the son calls him a pussy and all that kind of stuff. And then like the sister-in-law, Marie, goes, if you don't want to do it, then who are we to tell you otherwise? And then Skylar's like, "Why did you say that?" And then they have the talking pillow. That's the whole funny bit about it. And he grabs it. I have the talking pillow now, and he's like, "So shut up." And then he sits there and he goes, "My whole life I've decided like I felt like I didn't have a say. Like I wasn't really in control of any of it. I was just going along with it. This is the one thing that I can make a decision on, and it's gonna end. It's gonna kill me, basically, the cancer. So like I'm gonna just make my decision on it, and that's final." And it ends kind of with him being like, "Oh, see, like." He maybe felt like he didn't really have a say in getting kicked out of Grey Matter and all that kind of stuff, and maybe marrying Skylar and his son being born with cerebral palsy, like stuff like that, like all this kind of stuff didn't help, and they're not moving out of their starter house, all that kind of stuff. Him becoming a chemistry teacher, even though he's extremely overqualified for it, and can contribute to a Nobel Prize winning project, a bit of research. Also at the party with the billionaires, he was like, they were all like introducing him as this genius, like this is Walter White and stuff like that, the guy who did all this. But he's just teaching at high school, and then later on, like he makes that decision. Like he's lying in bed when Skylar's gone out of bed in the morning, and he kind of has his moment, and you can see his face change. And the guy was saying this is when he decides to allow himself to be a monster, because he's always been a bad person. He's just pretended to be a nice person, not really let it show. But then this is when he lets himself be a horrible person, and he goes to Skylar and goes, I'll do the treatment. And then she thinks that means I'll accept their money and all that kind of stuff and do everything you want, but it doesn't. It means to him, I'll do the treatment, but I'll pay for it the way that I want to do it. And then that's when he goes and does like basically the rest of the season. And it's just like chef's kiss. It's great. So good. But I was just like, having watched it and then watched these like video essays where they just pick apart tiny little scenes that you just don't even give a second thought to. And you're like, whoa, that's just like great. I recommend that. YouTube rabbit holes, you can fall down quite easily, so go for it.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Especially about this show, because it's just full of depth, man. It's just ridiculous how deep it is.
And it's you were talking about that sort of powerlessness, or that sense of taking stock again and thinking, how much control have I had over my life and still do. And I think that this is where a lot of people come to, in that sort of fork in the road in their lives, where you find that people have maybe married young, they've done the do, got a job, had a family, and then it's kind of, hang on a minute, the dreams that I had years ago, the things that I thought I was going to be doing at this point in my life. And I think that's what the whole kind of midlife crisis thing is about, is that you end up saying, I thought I'd be somewhere else. I thought I'd be doing at some other point in my life than I am. Here I am doing this, and this is not what I thought I was going to be doing. This is not what I thought. And for him, it was, although yes, it is pride, and it feels like he was the unluckiest man in the world for a long period of time, and he settled for, and he was duped by, and he became a monster. You say he allowed himself to be a monster. I hadn't realized that he was always a sort of nasty piece of work.
Yeah, I don't think you really become that person. Like, I thought the genius of the show was that like it starts in season 1 and ends in season 5, and over this long period of time he becomes this horrible person, really changes, and he does definitely change. But the whole, like, season 1 to the beginning, midway through season 5 is 1 year.
Oh,
it's 12 months. And you don't just become a horrible, murderous person in 12 months. It just doesn't happen. So, like, he had to have had something in him that makes him a bad person, or not a very nice person. But he's always just kind of like, how you doing? And, just kind of like been going along for the ride and being quite, in himself a bit of a loser, kind of, just kind of gone along with it, not had much say. Because if he did have his say, then that would have happened. The stuff that we see later on is what probably would have happened. Because he's not very nice. But that's another thing about the show, is that it's like Game of Thrones is really popular for being like about power and the want for power, and that's why these people are playing the Game of Thrones, because they want to get the throne and have the power and stuff. And that's kind of what it's all about. And this show does have like that element to it, like the sense of power and greed and hunger and all that kind of stuff, because there's a bit in season 5 that I love where like Walt's trying to Jesse sat with Walt trying to convince him to get out, like Jesse has, and he's like, you said this, where you asked the question, are we like you said, you know, we have $5 million here, like that's more than enough. You said you only needed 737,000 to support your family. That's where you were doing it. That's why he was doing it in season 1. He said, I would do it for my family. That's the only reason I'm doing it, is to give them money. And then Walt goes, you asked me if you were in the money business or the meth business. I'm in the empire business. And he's like, because he wants to build an empire. Like that's what he wants. He wants power. He wants control. He wants to have his say over everything. And that's who he is. He just wasn't letting that happen before, and now he's letting it happen, and it's like coming out. And then in the last episode, like there's a bit where he's talking to his wife and stuff, and he's like, Skylar, I did it. And she goes, if you have to hear one more time, you did it for me. He's like, if I have to hear one more time, you did it for the family. He's like, I did it for me because I liked it. I felt alive. I enjoyed it. And then it's like we're all like we just wanted to hear him say that for like 5 seasons, and he's finally said it. So yeah, it's all about that, you know, pride, hunger, want for power and control and stuff, from a man who was lacking like all of those things, because he was quite just like, yes darling, yes sweetheart, yes honey, like you watch it and he is. And also he's also like working at a car wash, scrubbing cars and stuff to try and make more money and make ends meet. And then there's a horrible bit as well where you feel really bad for Walter, where he's accosted a kid in class for like not doing well on the test or something, or the kid's like sitting with a girl like making out, and he's like, can you get back to your seat please? And he gets back to seat, and then later on in that day he's scrubbing this kid's wheel on his car, and he goes, oh look, Mr. White's taking pictures, does it, you know, take pictures, he's like scrubbing my car, all that kind of stuff, and he's just sitting there like having to keep going, because you know he doesn't get up and like punch the kid because he's his teacher, because he won't allow himself to, or whatever. He just keeps scrubbing this kid's wheel, and it's like he's just not there yet at all. And then
but also, is it not, because there's also a perfect storm, isn't there, in that he gets to the point where he's nothing left to lose. The consequences element, whatever the conscience or, you know, whatever his values were, if he had any, that stopped him, you know, in some respects, there for the grace of God go any of us. I mean, maybe given a certain set of circumstances, ability and opportunity, we have the option to be a great person or a bad person as a result of that. And power was something that he ultimately needed because it was something he didn't have. But also, you know, if he was somebody who had become a billionaire like his friend, would he have been a decent rich person, or would he have been a monster? We just don't know. But there was also this thing about, I'm going to be dead in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
Who cares?
And then in season 3 or something, he gets surgery that removes it, and he doesn't have cancer anymore. And then it's like, and so everyone's like, so you're going to stop now, right? And he doesn't, because it's no longer about just making money for his family, or, oh, there's no consequence anymore. It's because that's what it may have started as, and in a period of 6 months, whatever, that can happen, sure. But then it became, once he got a taste of it, it was that's not going away. This is the only time that I felt alive or in power, and I like it. It's like an addiction, you know what I mean? It's like, it's that's what he's basically saying in the last episode, which is, I liked it, I felt alive, and I was good at it. He says I was good at it. You know, it's like one thing he was good at as well. And he's always been good at chemistry, but he's been teaching kids who've not been listening to him. Like there's bits like the one line that he says the entire series is, apply yourself. He says it to Jesse like in the first season, because he was like, Jesse was a former student of his, and then like a few students later on, and there's like a bit where he's marking a test and says D, not even close, apply yourself, full stop. And there's bits where he's teaching Todd later on to try and cook, and he goes, as long as you apply yourself, he just constantly saying the word apply yourself. And I think that's because he's I don't know, he's just so like, I'm teaching these kids like chemistry, and I know so much chemistry, and I just can't like give them the right info, you know what I mean? Or like I can't do what I need to do as a chemistry teacher, because I know so much more than this. And he's just constantly saying apply yourself, because maybe he's looking for someone to do more than they're capable of. I don't really know, but or if he's just looking for the bare minimum, I don't know, as a teacher, I don't know, but he says it to like a lot of people, just to apply yourself. So I think that's quite interesting, because it must come from a place of he's so qualified for his job.
Yeah, but he doesn't apply himself, does he?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at as well, I guess, is that he's not really applying himself and his own skills.
No.
And he's kind of tell everyone else to do it because he's kind of, you can see it in other people but not in himself. And then when he sees it in himself, he's like, boom, this is me applying myself. And there's bits later on as well, like right at the end of season 5, where like it's all going to shit and like people aren't accepting his money. And he's like, please don't let it all be for nothing. You know what I mean? Please don't let it all be for. He says that like 3 or 4 times, because like he's gone through so much just to try and it is to try and get the money to his family. And even at like the end, he does do that. He does manage to get the money to his family. But again, that's the lack of consequences thing is also good, because there's like my favorite episode and the highest rated episode, the only 10 out of 10 thing on IMDb, is the episode called Ozymandias, which is the third last episode of Breaking Bad. And it's the episode basically, it's named after a poem by this famous poet. I can't remember his name, but it's about, I think Ozymandias is the Greek name for like Ramses II, like one of the Egyptian pharaohs. And it's about how you can build up an empire as big as you want, but it is always destined to crumble. That's what the poem is about, right? Because the pharaoh can build huge statues to himself, but he'll die eventually, and then it'll be torn down and put up for someone else. And that's like what it's about. And that episode's called that because it literally is, from start to finish, his empire coming from here to like the ground. And it just being like, there's a bit where he screams, "What are you doing? We're a family!" Like he has to like scream, "We're a family" at his family, and then it cuts his family, and you see that no, you're not anymore. And then he has to like run away and like steal his own daughter and stuff. And it's just like that episode, just is when his responsibilities and what is it you said, he's nothing left to lose. That's when he has nothing left to lose anymore, is the end of that episode. And that's when he can go and do what he does in the finale, where he just like ties up all loose ends and does everything, because he's again just got absolutely nothing to lose. And I think he even says like, no matter what happens tomorrow, like this money will go to my family, because he knows that he's probably going to die as well. So yeah, like that episode like it's perfect. It's so good. And I was saying to Becky when we were watching it, I was like, if you could go to film school and they could just tell the writers and directors, just see that, just do that. It would be great. You would make loads of money. Just do that.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot in there, isn't there? And actually, thinking about coming to the end of the year, this ridiculously mad year that we've had, and actually it's not all over. It's gonna
yeah, it's not like everyone's gonna hang up its boots at the end of 2020. Yeah.
That I suppose for a lot of people, I don't know, I just want to say at the end of the year, don't let things get to fever point, I guess. Things, whether it's your mental health, whether it's a decision about your life and your job. I know there's not huge amounts of choice. Think about yourself, think about myself. At the moment, none of us have a huge amount of choice in what we do. It feels like, because there's something greater than us that has control. And those that are responsible for our welfare, we don't trust a lot of the time. And that's a really destabilizing place to be. And, Breaking Bad's a good example of that, because basically what Walter White was seeing all around him was people doing well who had no substance, were just, some of them were young and just some of them were ruthless, and, the normal way of doing life of if you're intelligent and good and you get something. More and more I think that people are learning that actually good things don't come to good people, and that's not true. It's just, I think sometimes there's a narcissistic element about bad people that makes them seek the higher kind of, makes them seek stardom, leadership, wealth, power. And actually, I suppose I just want to encourage people to think outside the box. I think that there's a time for innovation, and there's a time for just rewriting all the rules again. And if you're at a point where you think, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing with my life? I don't even know. Don't wait until things are bad. You've got horrible depression, you've got horrible stress, that, things have got to that kind of really difficult, desperate place, not only seek help, but also find somebody that you can talk to about just brainstorming about what else can I do with my life? How else can I kind of meet some of the dreams that I had, just change some things. Because I think part of depression is that we have, as we've said before, no purpose. We have jobs that they just seem to have no purpose to them. And there's no sense of I'm contributing, or I'm getting something out of this, or it's even making me happy. So maybe there's a place for, I want to do something different. I need to feed my family, I need to pay my bills, obviously, but I need to get back in contact with that person who was able to dream, or had goals, or thought a certain way, or believed a certain thing, and I want to recapture that person again. Yeah,
I think that could have. I mean, I've just got so many things to say with what you just said.
Oh, sorry.
Quickly going off of that, like that could be completely what Walter White's trying to do, is maybe like recapture this person that used to be when he was younger, because there's like a flashback scene to when he's with Gretchen, and he's like doing this like puzzle on a whiteboard and going, oh, you think that's right? And she's going to 39% as he's like, oh yeah, just throwing it up there, being all quite dripping in sauce, looking quite cool, and like going up to her and being all like, in her face and like making out with her and stuff, and then like that, like it's so unlike him. It comes in like a really weird point because like that's just not the Walter White that I know at all. And it's like he's so full of confidence. There's like a flashback to when like him and his wife and not Gretchen anymore comes look at the house that we've seen them live in for the last like year or whatever. And it's like in their first viewing it, and he's younger and he's got a leather jacket. He's like, yeah, it's nice. I quite like it. We get some stuff over here, and he's like just really like full of confidence. And even though he's just full of confidence, he's still a nice dude. But I think he's maybe like trying to recapture some of that stuff that he had when he was younger, of being a really cool dude rather than this beaten, just like pulverized middle-aged man who's now got cancer. Also, I think what you said. What was that I was going to say? Yes. So you're talking about how you tend to like not really talk to someone in depression. You feel like alone and all that kind of stuff. I think the whole, if you bring it back to Breaking Bad again, is that like the entire plot premise, whole thing of Breaking Bad could be basically like one massive grand over exaggeration of someone who's going through some serious shit, not talking to someone, not dealing with it, and trying to deal with it all himself, and it all go into shit and it all getting worse. It may seem better at points. You may be able to problem solve some things by yourself, but you won't be able to fix the big picture. And I think that's what Breaking Bad is, when put into like really minimal basic things. Is guy goes through like some serious crap, could seek help, is offered help, begged to talk to someone, doesn't, deals with it himself, and it all goes to crap. So there's an excuse to go and talk to someone if ever you need to do it. And also there's like characters throughout it, like Hank, that's like the good guy who works for DAs, chasing his Heisenberg the entire time. And whenever he goes in the lift at work, he has panic attacks because he's had PTSD from this explosion that he witnessed down in Mexico when, the 3 of his workmates were killed and a guy lost his leg because there was an explosion from the cartel, all that kind of stuff. And like he has these like moments of like just needing to like grab onto something and breathe, and like the camera works on really well because you feel like you're, there's like this like high pitched sound and you feel sick and it's horrible. And then, Marie doesn't really know how to like handle it because he isn't talking to her, and his pride is getting in the way. He's going, I'm fine. I said I'm fine. Like, getting angry at her and biting and, being snappy at her and stuff, which doesn't help his relationship in any way, and also isn't helping himself. So, and he's always like, oh, she's seeing this counselor, Dave, and they keep going on, Dave's really good. Dave's great. Oh, Dave, she loves Dave. She can't. And then at one point she goes, I'll get you Dave's number. Dave's great. And there's like a really positive thing about counseling going on there at some point as well. And then you see a counselling scene briefly with Dave, and she's not telling him anything. She's sitting there kind of going, I can't really explain any of it, and it's like, yes, you can. Just talk to him about it. But like, but then it's like, oh, you're like, oh, that's TV. But then also, people probably do that as well. They really go to these people and then think that, you can't fix it. I have to deal with it myself. But, they can, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's other areas, examples, but that's where I'm coming from. We're talking about every character has like a flaw in them as well, or has like a moment of like pride or whatever, like those overlapping themes that I was mentioning earlier that I thought were like outstanding from the whole series of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, And I think you make a good point in that, you know, an awful lot of people, and I've done it myself years ago, when I was younger, is that you try and possibly really believe that you can deal with things yourself. I'll sort it out, you know, and it's almost like we believe that we must have the resources within us to be able to sort out the mess that we've got ourselves into, or some, and this sense of responsibility or overwhelming sense of, you called it pride, and you know, in some ways it is. It's like, I'm responsible for my life. I'm responsible for my family. I can deal with this. I
don't
can
need anyone else's help. You know, I don't need anyone else's money. That kind of stuff. That is pride. That is pride when you say, I don't need anyone else. You know, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
It is pride.
Yeah. So you know, put pride aside.
Hey, as a catchphrase, is that a thing?
It is now. Hashtag
now.
put pride aside.
Patent pending.
That's happening right now.
Put pride aside.
Our Christmas single.
Turn the tide.
What did you say there?
I said, put pride aside. Don't hide. Turn the tide. Did I lose you there at the end? How dare you? That was 4 great rhymes. You could use that.
Great rhymes. Yeah. What is it when it's called, when you do have 4 lines? Is it 3 lines or 4 lines in poetry? What are they called? Limericks, are they?
I don't know. I just know rhyming couplet. I don't know.
Rhyming couplet. You like the rhyming couplet, don't you?
No. I just know it because that's at the end of like Shakespeare sonnet. Shakespeare sonnet go like a line like A B, and then it goes CC, so like it rhymes at the end.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. So we're coming to the end. We've got 10 minutes left. No one's made any comments or asked.
We don't even need to answer
because they're just that riveted. I really liked our conversation about Breaking Bad.
Me too. It's also like, this wasn't meant to be about Breaking Bad, but then as I talked more about it and more realized the relevance it had with what we're talking about, like it just does. It's constantly relevant. Go and watch it if you've not watched it, although I may have ruined all of it for you, but you should have watched it, and I said spoilers. So,
You've spoken about the bits around the edges and in between, rather than the story that the individual kind of. You still watch it and have all of the funny bits and everything else.
I loved watching it with Becky and her just being like, no, and the stuff like that, because stuff happens out of absolutely nowhere. So good. It's such a great show. And also, I just want to say this because I want to say it. Like as I was rewatching it again, the more I realized that is easily my favorite show of like all time. So I was always like Game of Thrones because it's so cool and stuff, and then like I watched this again and I was like, oh no, this is way better, like way better. Yeah. So go watch it again.
Yeah, it just goes to show that. Just goes to show when you've got good writing, good acting, you don't need a big blockbuster.
You don't need You don't need all the CGI. Yes, there's amazing sequences in Game of Thrones that make it like better than anything I've ever seen. But like, you know, just to scale the story. Like I read on IMDb the trivia thing. Sir Anthony Hopkins, like, because Aaron Paul came in on the Graham Norton show when it kind of finished and was like, it was new. Breaking Bad in Britain was new, even though it came out in 2008. And he was like, yeah, we've had this like really loyal following, and it didn't break over here. Like the UK is the one place it just didn't work for some reason. Now you're all liking it. Everyone was like, I'm on season 3, I'm on season 4. Like, you know, they were all like watching it and stuff. And Sir Anthony Hopkins obviously like heard about it and about this buzz and watched it, and apparently binged it in like 2 weeks, and then wrote a letter to the cast like commending them on their acting. Sir Anthony Hopkins did that. Like a Shakespeare bona fide like legend. This guy, he like, you know, wrote to them and were like, I applaud you, because it was amazing. So it's not even just like good acting, it's not just good writing, it's like some of the best writing, some of the best storytelling, some of the best acting from this like amazing cast. And that's what makes it so good as well, is that like you believe everything and you care so much about all these characters as well, because you've watched them for 5 seasons and you're just like, oh my god, what's going to happen?
And I think it was good that there wasn't anyone overly. I mean, there was some good classic actors in there, but there wasn't any big names.
I mean, Bryan Cranston had just come off of Malcolm in the Middle, like a comedy sitcom thing. So, like, you can say, oh, he's a big actor, but he was, but not for that kind of stuff. And he won an Emmy for every single season apart from season 4 and the first half of season 5. So that's 4 Emmys he won for lead actor. And then like Anna Gunn, who played Skylar, got 2. Aaron Paul got 2. You know, like the show itself won loads. It's just when it was on, everyone was just like, "This is it. This thing is winning everything." And then Game of Thrones took over, like, you know, like because it kind of started. It was kind of doing stuff afterwards after Breaking Bad had finished. But yeah, it was just amazing.
I would say that Stuart McKeon, who messaged you earlier about your afternoon tea derby, has added a couple more comments just as we're coming to a close. Thank you, Stuart. He says, I don't see anything wrong in having pride and holding yourself in high standard as long as you don't let it get out of control, i.e. be rude or arrogant. Good point.
Well, yeah, I was going to mention that actually earlier, because when I said pride, I was wanting to add on, it's totally fine to be self-confident and stuff like that, and you know, like love and respect yourself, but like pride, I always think of the word pride as a bad thing. Like, not the LGBTQ aspect of it, but like pride. If you have pride, if you're pride, like that's for me always a bad thing, because your pride's getting in the way. Your pride's doing this. Your pride's doing that. Whereas like self-confidence and all that kind of stuff is probably like what I think that's what I would call what you're touching on. So if I call pride a bad thing, that's because that's just how my mind works, rather than.
No, that's fine. Because stay with that thought, because he's then gone on to say, it's a very thin line between being arrogant and being self-confident.
Yeah.
Sure,
That's what I was
exactly what you were saying.
Anyway, whatever you're doing is making it come up on the screen. So I don't know if you're doing that or if that's someone else doing that. But
no, it is. It's cool.
Okay. Yeah. So that was there. And that's totally right. I think that like whenever I've heard someone talk about pride, like whenever I was in like English dissecting stuff, like pride was always like their pride was getting in the way or whatever. You know, like pride was just a word that, you know, I'm proud to do it.
I think that, you know, pride does mean a certain thing. There's always pride before all, and Pride and Prejudice. It is, you know, but also you can be proud. I'm proud of you. You're proud of yourself. So, you know, it's a difficult one. But this whole thing, the thin line between self-confidence and actually, Stuart, absolutely be proud of yourself. Be proud of what you've done. Be self-confident, and yes, actually that should come with age. Actually, that's part of wisdom, is that you've reached an age where you're not regretting life. You've reached an age where you've gone, do you know what, I've got my stuff together. I actually have done well, and I feel pleased. I feel proud of myself, and life is good, and it's okay to feel good about yourself, because so often we don't. He's gone on to say, House of Cards. Oh, here's a different House of Cards. The US version was absolutely brilliant. Kevin Spacey's reputation is in tatters, and rightly so, but the man was a top-class actor in his peak. Agreed.
You've got to learn to sometimes, you know, separate the art from the art, and I think if there's a great show with a great performance from someone, then you've got to watch that. And I was wanting to watch it actually, because it was like huge for a while, and it was winning loads of stuff as well, and I was like, oh, I should watch that. But then like as I was going to watch it, the whole Kevin Spacey thing came out, so I was maybe like, I'll give it a break and then maybe come back to it. But I do need to watch it.
I'll tell you what, Stuart, Sam, because he's not doing a lot else at the minute, Sam will make a point of watching House of Cards.
Yeah, and also I'll let you know if I think you'll like it as well, because you'll probably love it. Like, I just get the feeling it's a show that you'd love. But yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's one of the ones that you just binge in like a week, if you had the time, which you don't. But yeah, that's what I was meaning when I said pride. I just worked out like I was meaning like this pride was getting. There's too much pride rather than being proud of himself. Like, but also he didn't really have any reason to be proud of himself as well. That's the whole thing. He was just a Cambridge teacher, wasn't doing anything, all that kind of stuff. But then as soon as someone offered him help, but he needed it, it was like no, you know what I mean? So that's what I was more talking about. And then Hank being like, I don't need help, that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, thanks for the comments.
Very helping us clarify that. That was good. Right, so we are coming to an end. We'll have our Christmas show, although this feels a bit like Christmassy, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to put a full Christmas jumper on next week, so it'll be even more Christmas.
A full Christmas jumper, yeah. I had some sparklies on today.
Sparklies. You always have sparklies on those. That doesn't count.
I do. Sparkly. So next week we'll have our Christmas show. Those of you who do drop in and listen to our show, pour yourself a little sherry or something. We'll have something nice to celebrate Christmas and to say F off to the year that we've had, and tentatively hello to the new year.
Hello.
and a few laughs maybe. Be great if we'd have some comments. Oh, he's put another comment just before we go. Haha, Sam is in his 20s and the poor boy is still getting set homework by his mum.
Aye, I know. Totally right. The thing is, Stuart, this is the kind of homework that I will happily do. if I'm getting set homework to go and watch TV, it's happening.
Very happy to do it with that.
Yep, totally. That was happening in college. They're like, go and watch these films, and I was like, okay.
So, last thing, well, we've got a few seconds left. Look up, please, Shake Up Christmas, the cover by Trading Glances on YouTube. Just type in Trading Glances and it's there. Please donate to Meningitis Now. It's a wonderful charity. Thanks very much. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.